Hello, hello. Hello. Welcome back to our lecture. So, for this week, we are going to talk about the development controls for residential architecture. So, when you're designing buildings, houses, you just don't design based on the lot or based on the size of the lot, the size of the AMBF and whatsoever. So you also have to be basing your design through the building laws. So we have the National Building Code of the Philippines or PD 1096, which is our basis, and as well as RA 9266, which is the Architectural Law of 2004. So hindi porke may lote, pwede nyo nang i-design any type of building, any measurement. So may kailangan tayong sundin na restrictions and guidelines. Okay? So I'll be discussing now how important following these laws when designing residential buildings. So since this is design one, I will introduce first the basics of the purpose of the National Building Code as well as the restrictions for R1 type of flat, okay, or R1 occupancy. So to start it off, we have the PD 1096 or the National Building Code of the Philippines. So the purpose of this code is to provide a framework and minimum standards and requirements for all buildings in order to regulate their location, design, the quality of materials, construction, and the use. So, the provisions of this code shall apply to the design, location, siting, construction, alteration, repair, conversion, use, occupancy, maintenance, moving, demolition of, and addition to public and private buildings and structures except traditional dwellings as defined herein. So, anong ibig sabihin nito? This code is the one who is controlling or kinokontrol niya kung ano yung tamang measurements, ano yung proper spacing of each part of the building or the whole building itself. So, kasama na dito yung design, the location, siting, construction, alteration, repair, and so on. So, under the National Building Code, merong minimum standards. Okay? Minimum, ibig sabihin, you have to comply with the minimum in order for your design na papasa. Okay? So, regulation of their location, design, quality of materials, construction, and use. In terms of location, dito na pumapasok yung zoning. Saan ba proper yung pagtayo ng bahay? If you are near a body of water, ano yung distance dapat from that body of water para safe na mag-construct ng building? Another one is design. Ano ba yung proper design for the specific type of occupancy of building? For example, residential buildings have different design guidelines compared to commercial buildings. Ang bahay, different siya sa guidelines ng school design or office building design. So, may kanya-kanyang requirements yan which makes their requirements, design guidelines and design requirements different from each other. Quality of materials. Dito naman, meron yung ano ba dapat yung material na gagamitin para maging effective for this type of building. For example, ano ba dapat yung material na gagamitin mo for a five-story building or for a, let's say, an office building compared to a school building. Ano yung mga materials na kailangan gamitin. Quality also is ano ba dapat yung standard na measurements or standard grade of steel or kung ano bang material yung tinutukoy, yun yung pinag-uusapan dito. Construction, ano yung best method, ano yung dapat iniiwasan, and others. Okay? So having said that, let's move on. So ang i-discuss natin is residential architecture since we are in design 1. So when we say residential architecture, it talks about residential buildings and as well as the structures. So residential buildings, buildings with this type of occupancies are characterized as habitable dwellings. When, if you remember our lecture on habitable rooms and spaces, habitable dwellings means people stay for a long time, wherein you live in the building. For individuals or groups of individuals who live together, and activities include daily human activities such as sleeping, food preparation, eating, washing, and cleaning, and etc. So basically, everything that daily routine of or daily living, yun yung activities na ginagawa. But it all boils down to the main purpose, which is the shelter for human beings. So habitable dwellings. Yun yung ating dinidesign sa residential architecture. So, zoning classification, meron tayong apat, I mean lima, pero we will be talking about R1 only. Okay, so we have R1, the low density residential. R2 is medium density residential. R3 is high density residential, low medium rise buildings or multiple family dwellings. R4 is high density residential, so low rise townhouse structure. Okay? So nadoble pala yung R4. Um as yung R1, R2, R3, R4 parang mas maraming occupants ang nasa higher number. So start tayo with R1, which is low density residential. Okay? So meron din tayong classification of buildings. We have A, residential dwellings. Letter B is residential dwellings, hotels, and apartments. Letter C, educational and recreational. Letter D is institution. Letter E is business and mercantile, mostly commercial buildings and anything that provides business. Letter F is industrial. Ito na yung mga factories, manufacturing areas. Yan. G, storage and hazardous type of buildings. Medyo critical yung or specially designed yung mga materials ng mga to because yun nga, storage and hazardous. Medyo mataas yung level ng or hazard dito sa buildings na to. Letter H, an assembly area buildings, less than 1,000 population. Letter I, assembly buildings or structures which cater to more than 1,000 people at a time. Then lastly, we have accessory types of buildings. Okay? So now, we will just focus on residential dwellings. Yung ibang type kasi on your higher design na siya. Okay? So, since we will be talking about development controls, we will start first with the definition. Okay, so this example, if you are looking at the picture on your right, this is an example of a lot with the different setbacks and the building footprint and other development control factors. So, ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina na hindi porke may lote, you are now free to build or design any type of building, any shape, any type. So, ito. May kailangan tayong sundin for these lots or in designing. Para naman, maayos and makapagkaroon ng circulation ng maayos for the users and as well as the lots na katabi. Start tayo with the incremental setback. So the horizontal distance between the outermost building line, structure line of a lower floor that and that of a higher floor, wherein the outermost building line of a higher floor is farther from the property line. So anong ibig sabihin yan? So pag meron tayong building footprint, for example, this image here, ang setbacks is the spaces from yung dulo ng building footprint hanggang sa lote, la hanggang sa property line. Merong space diyan na tinatawag na setbacks. So, hindi pwede na directly kang magpapatayo hanggang sa dulo. Hindi porke kahit property mo 'yan, pwede mo nang patayuan 'yan without spaces. May tinatawag tayong setbacks na tinatawag. Kaya 'yun, hindi niyo puwedeng gamitin lahat yung yung buong space ng lot just to construct your building. May guidelines tayo diyan. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng setbacks. Yun yung spaces. Ayan siya. If you can see the purple arrows or the blue arrows. Ayan. Yan yung mga setbacks natin. We have the sides, the front, and the rear. Rear yung sa likod. Then sides. Ayan. Okay, so mamaya titignan natin kung ano yung mga minimum measurements or setbacks na kailangan according to the building code, the National Building Code of the Philippines. We have a court. The court is an occupied space between building lines and lot lines other than a yard, free, open, and unobstructed by appendages from the ground upward. So pag sinabing court, ito yung open space. Okay? So, wala siyang obstruction from the ground hanggang sa taas niya. Ayan. A yard is a vacant space left in a lot between the building and the property line. So, yung setbacks, they're also considered as part of the yard. Yard can be in the front, in the back. Kaya may front yard tayo, backyard. Courts can be also in the sides, or may minsan may courts din sa gitna, nasa loob na ng allowable maximum building footprint. Alright? So, ayan siya. Yung nakikita nyo naka-highlight, ayan. Yan yung spaces for the court and the yard, which is also part ng setback. So, if you're looking at it, the picture now, ang natitirang space will now be your allowable maximum building footprint. Meaning, dyan ka lang pwedeng magpatayo ng building dito. Okay? So, yun yung ibig sabihin natin ng implementing the proper measurements for the setbacks. Hindi pwedeng directly buong lote mo na will be occupied. Okay? So, continuing, we have the buildable area. So, the buildable area is the AMBF. Itong part na to. Ayan, the allowable maximum building footprint. Kaya siya footprint kasi kung for example in a flat lot, pag tinanggal nyo yung building doon, ang matitira doon is parang footprint ng building. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng building footprint. Ngayon, pag sinabi nating allowable maximum building footprint, dito sa loob na to, ng part na to, pwede kang gumawa ng any shape of footprint, any shape of the building. As long as nasa loob ka lang. Hindi ka pwedeng lumampas dito lang sa loob. Pwede bang konti lang lumagpas dito? Hindi pwede. Kailangan nandito ka lang sa loob. Okay? So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng buildable area with reference to the setbacks. Ngayon, anong mangyayari pag hindi mo sinunod yung mga setbacks na to? So, since the National Building Code is building laws, part of the building laws, you're already violating the law. So, hindi siya pwede. It can be filed for cases na puwedeng kasuhan, puwede kang pagbayarin, puwede kang pagmultahin because nag-violate ka ng National Building Code. Okay? So, in the future, if you're going to design, make sure na you are always following the National Building Code and the building laws properly. And mind you, 'pag nag-violate yung design mo ng building code, hindi nila papayagan na ma-construct yung building. Hindi sila papayag na magkaroon ng building permit yung design mo. Okay? So, make sure na you follow the proper guidelines and the building laws. Ayan siya. The one shaded or the one highlighted in brown is the buildable area in this type of lot. Okay, so site occupancy and open spaces. So the measurement of site occupancy or lot occupancy shall be taken at the ground level and shall be exclusive of courtyards and light wells. So ibig sabihin kung ano yung area na na-occupy ng building mo or yung site, percentage nun yung iche-check nila kung pasado ba siya. Okay? So, excluding yung courts, yung yards, and light wells, meaning hindi kasama yung mga setbacks. Now, courtyards and light wells shall be measured clear of all projections from the walls enclosing such as wells or yards with the exception of roof leaders, wall copings, sills, or steel fire escapes not exceeding 1.20 meters in width. Okay, so pag titignan natin tong table, we have the yard here and this one is the type of residential occupancy R1, R2, R3, R4, and R5. So, since we will be focusing on R1, ito yung measurement na kailangan nating sundin for the yards. Sa front yard or front setback, it is 4.5 meters or 4.50 meters. Sa sides, left or right, 2.00. And lastly, the rear is 2.00. Ayan siya. Ngayon, paano mo malalaman kung saan yung front? Okay? So, ang front, malalaman mo kung saan yung directly katapat ng main road. Kung saan yung katapat ng kalsada, yun yung front, front yard. And dun ka mag-measure ng 4.5. Okay? So, yun yung palatandaan kung paano malaman kung saan yung front yard, saan yung side, saan yung rear. Paano pag dalawa yung kalsada na facing the lot? Ibig sabihin, dalawa rin yung front yard mo. So, 4.5 sa isang side, then 4.5 sa another side. Okay? Basta merong kalsada, it's considered a front yard. Okay, so start tayo with the type of lots. Ito na yung para malaman natin kung saan yung front. Okay, so this one is an inside lot. An inside lot has one street or road right of way sa harap niya. Okay, so pag yung lote nyo may katapat na isang isang kalsada, then all the rest is lots din. Ibig sabihin, this is an inside lot. So you have 20% of open space dapat for A, B, C, D, and J type of occupancies. And for E, F, G, H, and I occupancies, you have 15%. So, ito yung mga type of occupancies na to is yung diniscuss natin kanina, which is the residential, institutional, educational, industrial, etc. Yun yung magiging basis mo. So, based pa rin siya sa National Building Code of the Philippines, the PD 1096. Now we have the corner lot. The corner lot is a type of lot with two roads adjacent to it. So, may road ka sa harap, then sa side. So, nagmumukha siyang corner. Okay? So, ito na yung sinasabi ko na dalawa yung front yard mo. So, isa dito sa katapat ng street na itong nasa baba, then another one on the side. Anong mangyayari sa kabila, sa side na 'to? S since walang kalsada, considered na siyang side. Ayan siya. Then yung nasa likod, ito na yung rear yard or backyard. Okay? So, that's the corner lot. We have the through lot. Ang through lot naman is magkabilaan yung kalsada nila. So, for example, ito, meron ka sa harap, meron ka din sa likod. So, paano yung setbacks niya? Parehas na front yung andito sa may taas and dito sa baba. Parehas na, ah, tawag dito, parehas na front yard or 4.5 meters minimum of setback. All the rest is sides na siya, which is 2 meters dito sa sides. Okay? So, that's through lot. Parang through lot, pinaggitnaan siya ng dalawang road parallel with each other. Now we have corner through lot. So, a mixture of the through lot and the corner lot. Meron kang tatlong streets or may dalawang alley or small street, then public road right of way. So, meron kang tatlong roads adjacent to the lot. So, since tatlo yung kalsada mo or daanan, meron ka ng tatlong front yard. One here, and one here. So, yan dito na lang is a rear or backyard, back setback, which is 2 meters. Yan. Then, pag papansinin nyo, corner through lot has 5% open space na lang compared to the inside lot which is 15. So, habang dumadami yung kalsada na adjacent, inaalaw nila yung lesser na open space because of the anong tawag dito? Because of the setbacks. Ayan. So, 5% open space for all group occupancies. We have an interior lot. An interior lot is medyo complicated siya because meron kang lote sa harap mo. So, if you see this lot, this is the interior lot. You have a lot here, then a lot in front, which yung lot sa harap mo, may access siya dun sa road directly. Pero ikaw, wala. So, there is a right of way going to your lot. So, ito yung, kaya ka naging interior lot kasi andun ka sa loob. Alright? So, ayun na siya. That's the interior lot. Okay? So, those are the types of lot. Ulitin natin. Inside lot, isa lang. Yung adjacent road. Corner lot, dalawa na magkadikit din. So, nasa corner siya. Through lot is para streets are parallel with each other, opposite. Ayan. Then corner through lot, three sides have are adjacent to a road. Then interior lot is yung may lote ka sa harap, then may konting daan papunta sa lote mo. It might be a small alley or small right of way or sometimes interior lots have only very small pathways which cars cannot pass through or ano lang for people to pass through only. Enough lang siya na ganun. Okay? So, that's it with the types of lots. So, a one-story residence is called a bungalow. So, pag na-encounter nyo yung design problem na bungalow yung type, big sabihin, one-story siya. One-story residence lang siya. Okay? So, it's classified under Group A, residential buildings. It is under R1. Zoning niya is R1, low density residential because one-story building lang siya. Firewalls, no firewalls for R1. So, when we say firewalls kasi, ito yung solid wall which is a protective device in order so that the fire would not spread. Kaya tinawag na firewall. But in some cases kasi, firewalls are made in designs, lalo na kung maliit yung lote, para magamit mo yung spaces na supposed to be for setbacks. Nagiging allowed siya, allowed yung paggamit ng firewall as long as you comply with the firewall guidelines under the National Building Code. Merong guidelines pa rin na hindi dapat lalampas sa ganitong measurement, ayun, or hanggang dito lang yung pwedeng firewall in order para magamit mo yung space sa setback. The setbacks will depend on the type of lot. Then, parking space will always, minimum niya is 2.4 meters by 5 meters. Yan yung regular standard parking space for a car. 2.4 meters by 5 meters. Yan. So, ito. Ito yung sample na ano natin kanina na lote. Okay, so ito yung ano nyo, ito yung sample ng tawag dito, ng problem which you will be encountering not only in design 1 but also in your higher designs. In your higher designs, mas complicated pa yung tawag dito, mas complicated pa yung type of building kasi you will be dealing with 2 stories, you will be dealing with different building types, office buildings, airports, schools, sports complexes, and everything else when you get into it. Then makikita nyo na the more complex a building or a set of building is, the more difficult it is to design properly kasi lahat ng elements tinatakal dyan. Ayan. Kaya ang architecture, hindi talaga yan drawing lang. You analyze, you compute, you design in general. Marami kang i-incorporate dyan. Kaya makikipag-coordinate ka pa sa engineers and other professionals. You have your structural engineers, electrical engineers, sanitary engineers, mechanical. You also will coordinate with the construction workers, with the safety officers. Halos lahat itatakal mo dyan. You will be using behavioral patterns and analyzation or psychology in order to determine what is the best plan for your client's house, building. Ayan. So, lahat ng factors na incorporate sa pagiging architect. Hindi lang siya drawing. Drawing is just for presentation, but all in all, you are designing in total. Okay? So, that's what separates architects from other professionals. Ayan. So, pag sinabi nilang architecture is drawing lang, that is not true. We are designers. We plan. We incorporate not only creative but also our technical skills as well as science. Kaya nga ang architecture is a combination of art and science. Okay? So that's it for our lecture for today. So you may now do your activities, then please check your submission, then I'll upload another video by next week. Thank you.